right? Like you go to a drawing board and this is your big goal. Doesn't matter if it's big or small, just put it there and then reverse engineer it. And like, for example, like if, let's say if it's a monetary goal, like if you want to make money in certain years, like if you want to be, to gain 10 millions in 5 years, then you break it down from like each year, how many people you need to talk to, how many clients you need to get, and what are the steps you need to take to get there, right? Sometimes there will be months that you can't achieve, as you expected, like, but you got to keep pushing and pushing and pushing. And then whatever that you break down will kind of become easier, break down to plan to do will become easier. So it's just taking one step at a time.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Infinite Ability Podcast. I am your host, Nick Yerhart, and we are here to encourage each other to find our own unique abilities. Let's go. All right, everyone. So today I have Sue, and I can't wait for her to tell you her story and share all of her experiences and help you out. So, Sue, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Sue. Thanks, Nick, for having me on the podcast to share my experiences as a business coach. I'm currently an online business coach, but I'm also have been working in San Francisco Bay Area. Working with the startups and a business operations side. I help many multi-million-dollar startup launch and scale. So that's generally what I do. But I'm also a first-generation immigrant, came from a country called Burma. So it's called Myanmar now. So I pretty much grew up there, came to U.S. in 2000, with like $1,000 in my pocket, and pretty much put myself through college. So I went through many hardships, but to receive American dream, as you may, but I'm a homeowner now, a business owner, a proud mom of 8-year-old daughter. So to me, it's like overcoming challenges is about transforming difficult situations into opportunities for growth and achievement, right? So it's nice to be on a platform like this, sharing with others, encouraging and inspiring others.
So, like, what would you say your biggest tip is for someone who's overcoming challenges?
The tip, I would say it's like believing yourself is the main thing. It's like a mindset is really important. Like when we first spoke, you mentioned about like all the things that other people tell you like you can't do and that you would never be able to do, but you don't like take their word for it. You're like, no, it's me. I make my decision. I'll tell you what I can do and cannot do. So that's one of the most important things for anybody to kind of achieve, their goal in life. So don't get discouraged. So that's really important.
I agree. Don't let others dictate your future. If you want to do something, put your mind to it, put in the work, and get it done.
Right.
And like for me, it's like, I have daily challenges because I have cerebral palsy, but every day I figure out how to get through it and how to work through things, so then I can succeed and build the life that I want. And there's a lot of people that are against what I'm doing. They don't think that I can do it, and I'm out here to show them that I can. And I wish everybody would have that mindset. It's like, if you want to do something, get out there and do it.
Right. Yeah. Let's start with the mindset and then take action, right? Like you keep going, keep going, and don't let anything, that obstacle that gets in the way to stop you from believing yourself. So like it's kind of twofold, right? Like, hey, this is what you want to do, and keep believing that you can do it, and don't, tune out whatever the negativities or any obstacles, and then keep taking action and doing it. So it's in now, this day and age, women, immigrant women, minority women like myself, obviously we also do it's not that visible and it's not something that people talk about all the time, but it is there, right? Like with the life and career both, as an online business coach, there are things like we have to establish the trust and authority in, crowded online market, and even if you become successful, there's also like time challenges, time management challenge, right? Like balancing personal life, career, work, staying up to date and all that kind of thing. So how do you tackle that? How do you plan to, your strategy, right? Like, strategize, okay, this is expected. If you want this what is expected, but how do you, as you reach to those face these obstacles, how do you handle that, right? So that's what everybody has to, yeah. So yeah, it was inspiring talking to you, and I'm like, oh, I could definitely see myself share my experiences with Nick.
Yeah, and what I like to do is like I like to set my goal and then reverse engineer that goal to figure out what steps I need to take to reach that goal. And I break it all down into like daily tasks to get done. And it really helps because then you have a vision of what you want and where you're going. You're not just like hoping you're gonna get somewhere. You're actually putting in the work to get to where you want to go.
Right. That's interesting. I use that a lot too. Like when I talk to my clients and stuff as well. Like if you have a future goal, like kind of like a whiteboard, right? Like you go to a drawing board and this is your big goal. It doesn't matter if it's big or small. Just put it there and then reverse engineer it. And like, for example, like let's say if it's a monetary goal, like if you want to make money in certain years, like if you want to be, to gain 10 millions in 5 years, then you break it down from like each year, how many people you need to talk to, how many clients you need to get, and what are the steps you need to take to get there, right? Sometimes there will be months that you can't achieve, as you expected, but you got to keep pushing and pushing and pushing. And then whatever that you break down will kind of become easier, break down to plan to do will become easier. So it's just taking one step at a time. But yeah, no, that's I totally agree with that too. Yeah, no, yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I feel like it makes it easier and like it's like it makes it easier to follow if you break down as much as you can into numbers. So like you were saying, how many people you gotta talk to, how many clients you have to get, so you take whatever you charge for your service or product, and then you do the math and say, okay, this year I want to make $1 million. So I charge this amount. So therefore, how many clients do I need to reach my $1 million? It makes it easier to break it down like that. And then you can go all the way down to, okay, how many clients do I need every single week to reach my target? So
what's the percentage is like, I mean, language and stuff are similar things. For example, if you're going to another country in like 10 months and you want to be able to speak their language, like conversational level, like how many courses that you're gonna practice today, right? Like taking one step at a time model, it works sometimes, but it's good to have a larger goal awaiting for you versus just like taking one step at a time in the dark. You know what I mean? Like it just feels like you are doing it, but also you're kind of doing it either wrong or the wrong pace, wrong info, so it's always reverse engineering from the goal that you see yourself. I mean, it does change sometimes, your goals maybe become bigger or smaller, but at least if you have a structure in place, that's always easier and know where you're going each day, so that's amazing. Yeah, for sure.
I agree.
Yeah. The other things that I wanted to, like relating to, these overcoming challenges and stuff, I wanted to share something for all the listeners. It's like, we talk about not as small things, when it comes to life challenges, about being an immigrant coming to America and, like surviving, thriving or whatever the situation is. I recently went to Kenya, like a couple of weeks ago. And I wanted to share how amazing that experience is. Amazing as in not because they're living the best life. It's more like how much they inspire me, for, to give life a different perspective, like I always go to these volunteer things feeling like, oh, I'm going to give back, I'm going to contribute, I'm going to do something for them. But then in reality, whenever I come back, I gain so much, inspiration from them. There's like all these women and children who are always happy with so little they have or they don't have, like it's just, they're like facing poverty, escaping death in some cases, so that's why I voluntarily go there in person, not just donating money, because they just need a helping hands, manpower. They need some people to come and listen to for their challenges. There's no help from government, society, or anything like that. So they just love having visitor, not to discourage anybody, but like through this, like I end up taking a lot more than I expected to handle emotionally at times, the strength of the women and, young girls who gave birth at very young age, dropping out of schools, but most kids they're getting through day by day with these challenges, and some people, in the US couldn't imagine, that's what's really inspired me, for sure. Yeah,
it is really hard, when you go and you see that, and it's like you want to do more, but it's like, you kind of
not much. Right. Yeah. It's just us being there helps a little bit, but like literally we weren't even told not to promise anything. So we were just literally, I mean, of course there are, what we helped with were like these kids in the slums didn't have access to education because government literally ignored them. And so they have no food, no education. So all the volunteers either some donates money and some literally physically built these schools where children in the slums can come and, get education, read, write, and they get fed. So it's amazing. But like my whole thing I was thinking about this podcast that's coming up. It's like when I was there, I was like, oh my God, like I was thinking all about my challenges and, overcoming and achievement. But like these women and children, that's their daily life and they're surviving, and it's normal for them. But when we hear it, we're like, oh my God, it's like get hit by a boulder, but it's for them, it's like, hey, we're surviving another day, and that's a good thing, and they keep going. So that's just amazing. But yeah, for sure.
It is amazing.
Yeah.
It really is.
What are your so like as far as like your life experience, in Korea, to get to where you are now, what are the things that you have challenged other than, physical, special skills that you mentioned, but as far as like people interaction or life experiences, what can you share?
Yeah, I would say that one of my biggest challenges that I faced, my whole life, and I finally got a handle on it, within the last like 3 years, is I was always so worried about what other people were thinking of me. So like out in public, I move different, I do things differently. So people are always staring at me. And I was constantly worried about what they were thinking. So I wouldn't be myself out in public. I wouldn't do the things that make my life easier out in public. I would just try to do things like everybody else as much as I could. So I was really limiting myself on what I could do because I was just so worried about what other people were thinking. And I finally figured out how to let that go, and now it's like I don't care. Like, if you want to stare at me, go ahead. That's okay. I know who I am, so it doesn't bother me.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, so, the mindset we were talking about.
Yeah, it's all mindset. It's like, okay, what they're thinking does not affect me at all.
Right. Right.
Even if they walked up and told me something negative, I'm so strong and resilient now. It's like, okay, cool. Like, I don't like so now. Like, I can actually live my life the way I want. Like, it's very freeing when you learn how to not care and not feel like you're being judged all the time. And people do judge. But at the end of the
regardless,
day,
no matter how you feel like, you're achieved or successful or where you are at, no matter how proud you are, some people may find a way to judge you in some way or another, right? Like that's the belief that you kind of have to let go, like you said. So it's whether it exists or not, sometimes it can be an obstacle if you keep it in yourself because you're letting that go in. So that, but I agree with you totally, 100%.
Yeah, it was like I wouldn't even order my own food at a restaurant. I would have somebody who I was with do it because I would get so nervous to talk to the waitress or the waiter that I would just sit and stutter constantly and really not be able to get a word out. And now that I've worked on my self-confidence a lot, I can talk to anyone.
Right.
I talk to people I don't know all day long, every day. Like, this is just my new norm, and it becomes easier the more you do it. So now, like, my speech has improved. I stutter a lot less. And that's all because I just got comfortable with who I am.
Yeah, you normalize the possibilities and you bring it out. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, totally. No, I have the same thing too. Like, I don't have any family here. I came in year 2000, literally, like I said, with $1,000, which would last like a month, right? If I don't have a job and, I know no houses to go stay at. So I just had to go up and down Market Street in San Francisco, go to store after store, like looking for a job. And I'm like, hey, like, I know I wanted to have an American dream, but like, is it really a good decision, right? Like leaving my family back home and like, coming here, like, did people actually make it, when they came to move to another country halfway around the world, right? Like, it's not just like to Burma to Thailand or anything. It's like literally halfway the other side of the world, right? But if I go back, that's it. Like, if I let my fear and doubt stop me and like, oh, never mind, like, I'm just gonna go back to where I'm feel a little comfortable with, knowing that there's no good future there, in the long run. But it's only gonna solve the problem of being with a family. So I had to like stick to it, believe in myself. I can do this. If other people can do it, I can do it. I put in more effort, I put in more, belief and energy, right? Like, so now I feel a lot more comfortable, this is my home now. And I mean, like, it's workplace, the same thing. Like, I feel like, oh, that other people may get a better position, or, even though the quality and experience is the same, sometimes you let that fear and doubt like get in the way sometimes, like, oh, becoming a business owner, is it possible? Yeah, it's totally possible, like I had I always wanted to have a restaurant, and like 5 years ago, unfortunately, right before COVID, so I opened my first restaurant. It was doing great until COVID hit. So, but the thing is, you don't regret your experiences, right? You did what you had to do. You learn, you grow, and you evolve, right? Evolving is not dissolving, right? So yeah, for sure. Yeah, a lot of Korea, in Korea too, like, tech company I worked at, like, there'll be some gender biases, challenges, you face discrimination or bias in various spheres of life, again, like, if you're managing like your career management aspiration while maintaining personal well-being, having more time with family can be hard, especially if you have a successful career too. That those are the things that you don't think about or face until you actually get to that success, because it's not, hey, I achieved my goal, I'm successful now. That doesn't mean it's the life challenge just stops right there, right? Like there'll be another sets of.
They keep going.
They keep going sometimes,
Yeah.
you know. You gotta kind of stay ready. Like, oh, don't get ready. It's not reactive, right? Like you have to be proactive. Like, okay, along with that success, what will happen, right? Like you won't have time to go to your.
Yeah. And like one thing that I've noticed is the more problems I have, or the more problems that I face, the more successful I am. So it's like when you're dealing with problems, it's like when you go to another big problem, it's like, okay, let's go, let's figure this out, because it's like stepping stones to success.
Right.
That's kind of how I look at it. It's like, okay, if I figure out a problem, and then all of a sudden that makes me get a bigger problem. It's like, all right, I'm doing something right.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
kind of how I look at it.
No, totally. And also, like, the bigger the problem is, the bigger the challenge is. But once you overcome that, that's your achievement is even higher, right? Like you're
Exactly.
like, oh my God,
Yep.
like I thought that whatever previous problem was, big, and now I face even bigger, and I tackle that, and now you look at me, here I am, right? Like, so it's like it's not necessarily it gets easier, but you gain more confidence, like you're more motivated to face any challenges in the future, so that's definitely. Yeah, it's I could totally see that. As a single mom, there's like a few years ago, there's always ups and downs, right? Like when you're raising another human being, right? I'm sure I don't know if you have any children, but like your parents
No, I don't, but
parents can tell you, it's raising a kid. It's not easy, not just like, oh, just keeping them alive, right? Like it's more like, am I doing the right thing all the time? You may not, like you can be a parent, but you're not always right? Like it's just, you handle some stress and emotional well-being differently, right? Like, and your method of disciplining or anything can be different from how you were, when you were younger, right? Like, I mean, me and my moms are totally different people. Like we have different method of, disciplining children, right? So, that's one of the things that's interesting. Like, again, like parenthood is challenging as well. Like, dealing with, especially when your kid is smart. I gotta tell you, my kid's really smart. So like, she pushes you to the limit, and you gotta be like, you gotta be ready, because you don't, at this young age, you don't want to say or do anything that would permanently like scar, right? Because their upbringing, it really depends on how you handle some situation.
It does.
Right?
It does. Yeah. And as a life coach, I know, from working with my clients, is almost every person, I think almost every person has a problem that they've been carrying since childhood. Something happened when they were a child, and they identify as somebody different than who they actually are because of that situation. And they've carried it with them their whole life. So as a parent, it's like you gotta be careful to not let that happen. But nobody's perfect. So just be the best parent you can be. Be okay with making mistakes. We all are gonna make mistakes, but just be there for your child. Support them, and do whatever you can.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, no, I use this method. Like sometimes it's hard dealing with feelings of guilt sometimes, right? Like, oh, am I being too soft or too hard? Or like, if I say or do, how would that how does that affect them, right? Like, but at the end of the day, I do two things, is that like I open with her, say and do what I feel and what I think, and then I explain the reason why behind it. Because most children, I think almost all of children, they don't want to be told no without any explanation. You know what I mean? It kind of makes them more like rebellious and curious, and they want to do whatever their parents tell them no to. Like it'd be rare some kids who are super obedient and like, you know, just no and it stops. Like kids like mine who's challenged, and she if you say no, she'll ask why. You know, so you gotta be ready for that, right? Like you gotta tell the explanation. But then if your no is you made a mistake, then you own up to it and like, hey, you know, I realize that, you know, I know, you know, I'm not perfect, and I realize that I make a mistake and it won't happen again, but it came from the place of love, right? Like, and that's then you move on. So yeah, oh man, this life does give you nonstop, you know, challenges and obstacles. You know, I try to write down some solutions, you know, plan it, you know, and I'm a big believer and advocate for self-care too, like because some of the single mothers that I know, like they feel guilty about self-care because they feel like, oh, I should be, you know, making my kids priority. And of course, your kids or your children are always priority. That doesn't mean you can't have any self-care, like mental, physical, right? Like because it's we have to take care of ourselves so we are able to take care of our loved ones, right? So that's really important thing as well. Yeah.
Yep, I agree. Self-care is so important, and you know, even as far as like when you're a business owner, make sure you're still taking time for self-care. You know, you gotta take care of yourself because you gotta take care of your business. So it's so, you know, it's help yourself first and then help others. I think that's very important.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree. So my slogan is your abilities are infinite. What does that mean to you?
I think if I'm not, you know, your abilities are infinite, right? You said, or your so
exactly.
It's kind of goes back to where we're, you know, thinking like you don't put a boundary of your ability, and you know, like with the self-beliefs, don't let other people limit you, right? Like so your ability can be infinite, so you always like striving for more, and like, you know, you whether you achieve it the next day or not, you always want to keep striving for more, you know. I'm not saying don't set the unrealistic, you know, goals. It's any dreams achievement that you want is not unrealistic, you know. It's so it's infinite. It's your ability. It's you can only tell your own availability. Don't let other people tell what your abilities are, right? Like,
absolutely.
I mean, you can take the compliment.
I love that. Exactly.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, Sue, this has been amazing. How can people reach out to you?
Yeah, so they can, if you have a link, I will share a link with you, but they can reach out to me on my website.
I'll drop your links in the show notes. I just want for people listening to know.
Yeah, so go to riseabovetheordinary.net. So it's kind of, you know, what we talk about, you know, we want to rise above the regular day-to-day, you know, if you want to get out of, for me personally, like as a business coach, I help people who, you know, wanted to get out of daily 9-to-5 grind that they're unhappy of, like struggling with time management. They want a different career, different business, mainly business, obviously, because, you know, job is just, you know, a job, right? It's a short-term solution to a long-term problem. So I help people achieve their goal in life, you know, like goal in life by helping them start an online business that's sustainable for life. So it's riseabovetheordinary.net. So you can reach out on there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Sounds good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you too. This was really great and very helpful.
Sounds good. Thank you so much. Nice talking to you.
If you enjoyed this show, please go ahead and share it on your Instagram story and tag me in the Nick Yerhart. Also, go ahead and share it anywhere else that you see fit, because the only way that I can grow this is by you guys sharing it. I don't sell anything on here. I don't have any sponsors. So let's just get it out there by word of mouth and help more people. Alright, everyone. Remember, your abilities are infinite.